All right, this is looking good. This is looking good. And wait, what? I put that there. Hey guys, what's going on? I am under the weather. I actually wanted to do this whole video with like my hoodie up and just be all in my feelings and in my sickness, but I'm not going to do that because that sounds and probably looks crazy and creepy and weird, so we don't want to do that. But I did want to get this video out today. This experience of learning to code has been quite challenging and quite fun, and it got me thinking about this idea as a fan of massive multiplayer online games, RPGs, things like this. It got me wondering, when am I going to level up? When am I going to get to the point where I am, at the end game, as it were? I really don't think there is an end game for coding, and that's what's so fascinating about this space. There's always going to be some new shiny object, some new tool, some new stack, some new something that you will have to go and learn and incorporate into the way that you do things, or you won't, because it doesn't, the compatibility doesn't end up growing there for it, or it ends up dying on the vine over there. It's just not a good way to do things. It's just this really ever-evolving field where new things are coming online and new ways of doing things are coming online at such a pace that the idea of ever really getting to an end game is not really there. It's sort of there, but not quite there. And because it's not quite there, it cascades down and creates this really interesting space mentally for someone who's new for not really understanding when they level up, when they've reached another tier of being a developer or a coder. You kind of just have to decide for yourself. To a certain extent, there's definitely skills and things that come into play that make you yes or no on a coder or developer scale, but it's this really fascinating thing where it's an ever-expanding environment that presents some challenges that you don't typically have in a lot of other fields. So it's really interesting and it's really great, but it's really funny to find yourself in a place where you're like, man, I put those curly braces. Those brackets were there when I wrote the code. Where are the commas? You find yourself in this really unique space where you're like, I am really getting this. And then you randomly forget something like a T or a V or an equal sign or something, and it brings you back down to this space where you're like, do I even know what I'm doing? This is crazy. How did I forget that? At least for me, currently. I'm sure a lot of other people just throw in their curly braces and don't get existentially crisised about it. But suffice to say, I am loving this experience, but it's really finding me in some places that I have not found myself in other professions and fields and things that I've studied before, because it is so nebulous at times while being so very detailed and specific, and it is so ever-changing while also having some very root, basic, important, fundamental key components involved. And that is so fascinating and so great, and is really proving to be one of the most fun things I'm encountering during this challenge of learning to code. So I'm about to start on my second unit for my project for Treehouse. I'm pretty interested and excited about that. I'm going to be going for the exceeds on expectations again, because that's what I want to do. And I look forward to talking to you about how that process went, what I was, getting involved with for that as I start to get the vernacular down for coding, the way things are said, the way things that are need to be said to be communicated appropriately. One of the last pieces of the course that you go through before you start on this second unit piece is all about the DOM, about traversing and selecting and manipulating things on the DOM, and how that presents some really awesome, cool ways that you can utilize JavaScript to, like it says, manipulate and traverse this tree, right? They kind of like use an analogy to describe the DOM as a tree. You've got your branches, and you got your children and your parents and your other nodes and just all these other kind of fun, cool things. And I'll be utilizing that for this second project. So I want to bring a little bit more understanding to that second project with the video on it than I did on the first one. Again, as I start to learn some of these terms and phrases and these kinds of things. So I appreciate you being here. I don't know if it's happened yet, but I'm looking forward to leveling up soon. And when I do, I'll be sure to let you know. Hope you're having a great week. Cheers.